Over the weekend, quarterback Jake Retzlaff announced his decision to withdraw from BYU. Here's what he said. Quote, after a lot of prayer, reflection, and conversation with those I trust, I've made the difficult decision to officially withdraw from BYU and step away from the BYU football program. BYU's meant more to me than just football. It's been a place of growth spiritually, mentally, and physically. I'm grateful for every teammate, coach, staff member, and fan who supported me along the way. The relationships and memories I've made in Provo will always be a part of me. That said, I'm excited to turn the page and embrace the next chapter. My journey is far from over, and I'm more motivated than ever to keep chasing my goals, end quote. BYU put out an official statement regarding Retzlaff's departure. Quote, we are grateful for the time Jake Retzlaff has spent at BYU. As he moves forward, BYU Athletics understands and respects Jake's decision to withdraw from BYU, and we wish him the best as he enters the next phase of his career, end quote. Now that Retzlaff has officially left BYU, Dave, if you had to name a starting quarterback today, and BYU's not playing today, who would it be and why?
If they were playing today, I get the feeling that Hillstead might get the nod. Just heard more about him in backup roles from practice, even spring, and understanding of the offense and what we saw him do when he was playing for Utah State. Trayson Bourguet is a little bigger at 6'2", built to withstand a few more hits. So the physicality of it would be with him. And I'm not going to say Bachmeier, because if the game was today, he wouldn't be. But on August 30th, he could be. So I really think that it's going to be a pretty wide open fall camp and a quarterback battle. The likes we haven't had in a long time. Last year, remember, it was Jake and Gary Bohannon. And that one was pretty close. And Bohannon, we thought, was in the lead right up to the last week. And he had a bad scrimmage at the stadium, turned it over a few times. They switched, and Jake started and never gave it up. But as far as, hey, it could be any one of these guys, and we're not sure what they bring to the table, that's the camp we're heading into.
Yeah, it's been a hot minute since we had that. I mean, are we having to go back to 2007, right after John Beck graduates? And maybe. Is it Max Hall? Is it Cade Cooper? Is it Brendan Gaskins? I mean, maybe it's been a minute.
It was good that it was Max.
Yes, it was the winningest quarterback in BYU history. Probably McKay Hillstead as well. I agree with you because of his athleticism, the element of his legs, the ability to run. He's not the biggest guy, as you mentioned. That will be discussed quite a bit with him. But this dude, when he has a clean pocket in 2023 with a not good Utah State offensive line, he played in 8 games, started 4. He had a PFF 90.2 grade from a clean pocket. That was better than J.J. McCarthy, Quinn Ewers, Rocco Becht, Cam Ward, Drew Aller, Noah Fifita, etc. Thanks to Casey Lundquist of BYUSI for that nugget. Then there's Trayson Bourguet. He's played more FBS games, 11, at Western Michigan over 2 years, than McKay Hillstead. He was in the 96th percentile in big-time throws under pressure, so that was the good that he did there. Then there's Bear, who has the big upside, the number 6 dual threat, number 11 quarterback. Big time for BYU to get this guy out of the portal. Big dude at 6'2", 225, but like you said, can in a month he learn the playbook to the level that, and execute to the level that Hillstead and Bourguet have with a year in the system. BYU last year with Jake Retzlaff, he did some, let's talk about sort of what is being replaced on the field. On the field, his legacy was, there were some real clutch moments. You think back to moving the ball down the field for game-winning scores against SMU to get that field goal. Oklahoma State, of course, to Darius Lassiter. Utah, to get in position for Will Farron to make another field goal. Opportunistic with the defense giving short fields, explosive, moved the chains. There were also fades into the end zone against Kansas and Utah, which were intercepted. There were probably more turnover-worthy plays than we wanted. 58% completion percentage, not mind-blowing, sub 3,000 yards, 20 touchdowns, 12 picks. I think BYU believes that one of those guys can produce those kinds of numbers. What you can't replace, though, is the experience that Jake had in the system, the experience in those moments. And so that's certainly tough. But we've heard from way too many people outside of BYU and ourselves saying, wait, they should be fine. They should be fine based on the defense, the weapons on offense, and the special teams. And I think collectively, Cougar Nation, feeling pretty good about the season. But if you have a senior quarterback returning, you just feel like maybe you can win the league. I'm not sure that's the same. The team should feel like they can. But I'm not sure that same rhetoric is for everybody else now. It's like, maybe they could, but before it was like, absolutely they will.
When Jake was a new guy in the Big 12, he lost all his games. and then he comes back last year with some experience. Well, you've been in Morgantown. You know what that heat is like. And then he handled things better. In Arizona State, he had a terrible first half. He played better in the second half. Kansas, there was a lot of things going on off the field, on the field in his life.
He was injured
and
as well.
They still got to the 15-yard line with a first down to win the game, and they couldn't get through.
Yep.
And so they were never far off in the 2 losses, even against Arizona State. Remember, they were driving down before that pick.
Yep.
But at the same time, they got a lot of breaks. Right? I mean, there were a lot of things that went just right.
Absolutely.
That allowed BYU to do that. He was picked to be in the middle last year. He was picked to be in the middle this year. That's probably right where he belongs. And so
You're talking individual quarterbacks in the Big 12?
And so can you
Except for that PFF list that he would screenshot?
Yeah, that's right. He was at the bottom of it. And so in that list, can you put a guy in there? They better.
It's a good quarterback lead, Dave. It's for one of these guys to be 8th would be unbelievable.
Absolutely.
Like, they're not going to be top 5 in the league. The league has good quarterbacks. We're going to see in 3 or 4 years, you're going to go, oh, there are 4 or 5 NFL starters or primary backups from this group. Like, it's a pretty good group in the league.
And it's a little unfair, but it's all we have, right? When we go Hillstead and we have footage from Utah State. And we have Bourget, and we have footage from Western Michigan or Central Michigan.
Right.
And Bear, we got high school footage.
Yep.
Because in the case of Hillstead and Bourget, they didn't have BYU's offensive line. They didn't have the #1 defense in the Big 12. They didn't have the best kicker in America.
Right.
They didn't have a healthy LJ running the ball. This is what they inherit. And so now in practice, when the guys tell us, hey, they're slinging it and running the team, there may be some more truth to that than what we see, because all we see is them, their name, their size, their weight, and the B-roll of their previous schools, which are not this team.
It's been a hot minute. None of these guys have played a snap at BYU.
No.
You know, it's all new. I love that graphic says 25-26 season, because normally we just talk about it with 25. 26 implies January, implies playoff.
Yeah.
I like the ambition of our graphics team today. That's great.
They're visionary.
We'll see who wins this battle. There is nothing more compelling in fall camp than a quarterback battle, and we're about to see that in a couple of weeks.
We got one. We fly in drones over practice.
They'll take that seriously,
Dave.
Dave.
That was a joke. So last year, BYU finishes 13th in the final AP Top 25. Yeah. And so we figure, well, they're going to be about 13th coming into this season, maybe even a little higher. Even if it's a notch lower, it's so much better than where they've started in a long, long time. Now that Jake is withdrawn from school, do you think they'll be in the top 25 when the AP comes out next month? And should they be?
I think they should, even despite the quarterback question. I think they should be in the 20s somewhere. I think the weapons, the defense, the special teams, the continuity of the coaches, that deserves to be ranked. What that is, I don't necessarily think matters. I think if Jake's coming back, you're probably in the 14 to 17 range, right? 13 would be awesome.
Probably.
But it changes. And is Jake that important of a piece? Well, if we're going to say quarterback is the most important position in all of sports, then probably.
And it is. In college football, quarterback is the most important. And And it doesn't mean it has to be over the course of a season. I think last year you could say that there were a number of guys on BYU's team who were the key players on that group. But when you're just coming up with 25 teams, you just look to see who the quarterback is. Does he back? Oh, he's got experience. I'm going to put them up here. Arizona State's going to get a boost because Leavitt was back and he played good last year. Even though Scadaboo's gone, most pollsters won't remember that so much.
And they returned 9 starters on offense and defense.
So they're supposed to be
basically everybody but Scadaboo.
But BYU returns almost everybody, minus the quarterback, and you're going to see him plummet. And that doesn't bother Kalani because he's the master of, hey, they don't
give me reasons to fire my team up.
They don't know what they're going to see, but they're about to find out, right?
They don't know.
That's how BYU can go. I mean, there wasn't a single defensive player on the preseason all Big 12 roster after the defense dominated the league last year. So what does that do to the defense? Makes them angry. And that's good for BYU. If all 11 guys run the first team, be like, okay, all right, well, but then it's different, right? Emotionally and how you prepare. But it turned out that way, and I thought, well, that's disappointing. A couple of Cougars should have been on that list. But you know what? That's not necessarily a bad thing for BYU as a whole.
To me, that's a product of 16 teams in the league.
Yeah.
I
mean, there's great players.
If there's 12 teams, maybe there's one or two.
But the number one defense probably should have had at least one guy on there.
It's an individual thing.
Yeah.
And frankly, because of the distribution of talent, Jack Kelly, if he has 100 tackles, Dave, he's on the preseason team. And if he has 8 sacks, I don't know. It just depends. You have so many guys, so many teams. There's a lot of talent in the Big 12. This is big boy football. This is not the Mountain West where we can just feel like we own the place.
On there.
And even then, TCU and Utah were good too.
Lasker and Kelly, however, were left off that list.
Tanuvasa.
And they're going to come charging.
Yep.
And that's not a bad thing for the Cougs.
Literally. This is a bad thing for opponents. And how about that underrated secondary with Tanner Wall and Talon
21
Alford,
picks last year.
Amazing. 22 with the bowl game. Number 1 in the country. Amazing. Can't wait to watch it in a couple weeks in fall camp. And we'll have that quarterback battle, and the motivation is high for this Cougar team.
I was thinking this weekend as we look at these highlights, and BYU put out a little hype reel over the weekend of the team coming out, and we'll be live on our pregame show when we see the helmet surface for the first time, and then there's this rush through the crowd, this buzz that it's back, that only that moment brings as they come out for the first time, and that's coming, and it kind of, gives you goosebumps.
I, every fall, think when football starts, I thought, wait, I was happy the last couple months? My happiness is 300% north.
It just goes up.
It's amazing. Football is so awesome. Our question of the day is this. Do you believe BYU football should be ranked in the preseason AP poll at It's a Jelly 1 on X? With a returning starting quarterback, absolutely. Top 15 even. But with the level of uncertainty at this time, it is probably fair to leave us off that list, regardless of the stellar defense and offensive tools around the quarterback.
Okay.
Is not having that guy that influential? We're going to find out.
At Tater Coug on X, I'm guessing Idaho.
Nice.
Yes, they'll have a top 30 defense and a top 20 special teams unit. They'll also have lots of experience, a 10-year head coach coming off 11-2. I doubt they will be, though.
Yeah, and there's not a lot of great history for BYU in the preseason AP poll. And frankly, that doesn't matter. Like, we talked about it last week. Should the preseason AP poll exist? I don't think it should exist.
The fact that it does means you're not in it. You just have to climb over all those teams that are in it.
Yeah.
And it's easier to stick around when you're in it than to bust into it.
Yes.
That we've seen.
At Big City Hoops 82 on X. Yes, between 19 and 24.
Okay.
So somewhere in there. 19 would surprise me, frankly. Like if they were going to be 14, super high, 13, and then they're 19 or 20, okay, well, they fell, but they're still in.
Right.
I do expect them to be in. If they're out, I will be surprised. So we'll
Corey Davis on X, I like the underdog, overlooked, disrespected role, so no ranking is better as far as I'm concerned. There's a lot of people that believe that.
And I've talked about this. At some point, we've got to get over that mentality. We've got to have a winner's mentality, not the underdog's mentality.
Yeah.
But BYU has done it in a power league 1 year. You have to sustain excellence. That's what we're hoping to see from football
and basketball
and men's basketball. Continue to weigh in on X, Facebook, and Instagram.
When asked about the wide receiver room, Fesi Sataki said that this year's room is, quote, the deepest quality of depth we have ever had in his 8 seasons at BYU.
Wow.
He's had some good receivers, good groups. So the question for you is the wide receiver room better this year than it was last year?
Now, Fesi is entitled to the greatest opinion on this because he coaches the receivers.
And he recruited all of them.
Yeah, it's hard for me initially to go, whoa, wait, what? Really? Because you had some really good receivers in that room, and it's hard to lose Darius Lassiter and Keelan Marion and say you got upgraded. Mm-hmm. But in terms of continuity, in terms of how they fit into the offense, the depth, I love the depth of the room. Let's talk about it. Obviously, Chase Roberts is the alpha. Parker Kingston is a guy who can run, pass, catch. He can do it all, which is amazing. He has 3 touchdown passes, Dave. He actually has more than any of the 3 BYU quarterbacks walking in.
Put him in
Should
the
we
chase.
be talking about Parker Kingston at quarterback? JoJo Phillips is a guy who feels like he has a massive upside. He has not caught 3 catches in a game quite yet. He is going to do that a bunch of times this year. Cody Hagan is the former #1 player out of the state of Utah in terms of Gatorade Player of the Year. Speedster. Caught 3 balls last year. You get Tiger Bachmeier with Bear from Stanford, a guy that as a freshman 2 years ago was really, really good. Reggie Frischknecht, out of the portal, guy that was at Snell, was going to go to Weber State. Now he's coming to BYU, bigger target. Tay Nakua, always good to have a Nakua. And then I'm not sure you get this deep, but Don McKenzie, that's Marcus's twin brother. Mm-hmm. Mason Waller was a big-time recruit when he signed.
And he was here.
Yeah.
He's been here since January.
Yes. And so he's been getting a lot of opportunity, too. So I like that group. Chase, Parker, JoJo, your first 3. Cody, Tiger, Reggie, Tay are your kind of next four in no particular order.
I was talking to Parker Kingston the other day about this, and he said that Reggie and Tiger are going to be major contributors.
Awesome. Love it.
And especially Reggie. And we're like, and we're trying to go, is that Frischneck? Reggie? And yes, it's Frischneck. And that was his take in the room, and adding to that depth question. And when you think of Marion, Epps, and Lassiter gone, they combined for 6 touchdowns last year. Roberts, Kingston, and Phillips combined for 7. So when you go, hey, the room is remarkably better, then you just have to look further down the list and go, who are the new guys? And it's Reggie, and it's Bachmeier, and Hagan, who will be off special teams and into the mix. So
he can still play.
Yeah, he can still do that. Yeah. So that leads me to believe that Fessy believes those 3 are where the upgrade is as far as the depth of that room.
And you have different types of receivers. And certainly we don't know how they sort of gel together and what that looks like. Fessy is the one who does. But, yeah, that group was good last year. And the reason we all feel like BYU could have another good year is because they do have a lot of continuity around the quarterback. If it was a brand new running back 2 and there were no receivers in the room that really returned, and nope, there's a lot of proven commodities. You don't have proven commodities per se at the tackles, although we're excited about Jada and Gentry. Gentry, a national champion at Michigan, and certainly a high-profile recruit that BYU was hoping to get out of high school. And then tight end, you like Carson Ryan. You're hoping some of the others who haven't really proven themselves behind him can get it done. Carson kind of has 22 catches in 22 games. This is an opportunity for him to prove himself, but now he gets to be the guy right away. So we'll see how this group comes together as the pass catchers. And then you return all the running backs. Yeah. There's just a lot of continuity to ignore.
Don't you get the feeling that Portland State and Stanford, even East Carolina, are games where you line up and you're just going to ride LJ and Moa and the jet sweeps and then just kind of see what this new quarterback can do downfield with Roberts and Phillips and again, Kingston running routes. It's not one where I think you walk out and go, hey, we're throwing 35 times today.
Let's hope not.
Yeah.
You need the run game to lead the way.
So you run behind that offensive line, and then you're going to kick a field goal. You get 3 points every time you're inside your 40.
I want the record, by the way, this year.
So you got...
It's 56.
Is it 56?
Yes. And I tweeted the other day, let's get Will Frey on the record this year. And people were like, no, let's score touchdowns. And I'm like, you have to kick field goals. What are you, naive? You're going to kick field goals.
If you have the #1 defense in the league, or at least one of the top defenses in the league, you can win games with field goals. If you don't, then you're winning games with 50-yard passes and all that stuff. Last year, they won some games with field goals.
SMU and Utah.
And so they have that. And that, again, go back to our conversation with quarterbacks. It takes pressure off them, but it makes the receivers kind of a mystery group. The deepest that Fessy's had in 8 years. How is that going to translate with a new arm? And how can you not watch that, right? First quarter, we're going to want, how is that looking?
I think every down will be compelling. I think every practice media availability will be compelling because there's a quarterback battle.
Yeah.
It's always the #1 story, if it exists, in a fall camp, and we are just 2 weeks away from that.
This is why coaches just don't like them, right? Because they dominate everything.
Don't make too much of what you saw here.